guys, I'm down here pulling the valve body out. Letting all the oil drain. I get all the bolts busted loose, letting everything drain out of it into the pan. Just catching it. I have to take my cross member down to get the pan off, so I get the jack holding the transmission up. So that's where I'm at so far. Alright, so I got the valve body out. As of yet, ignore the yellow pieces. I threw this in this bucket over here. It's got all this in it. But as of yet, the only thing that I'm seeing, where'd it go, is right there. So I've got to look at that in the transmission and see if that's on a path or anything. I'm going to pull this plate off and see what I can see on the gasket beneath it, and then I'll flip it over and see what I can see on the other gasket. Alright, so this is what I found under the mid plate. I've got a tear here. It wasn't quite this bad, but I peeled it up so you can see it. And same thing right here. I'm not sure what this one's from. And then there was a hole there that I guess was covered, and it blew it out. And I guess when it blew it out, it probably tore this somewhere where it shouldn't be. So that's what I have found so far. I'm probably gonna flip this thing over and pull the plate off the other side, and I'll probably end up just replacing all these gaskets. All right, everyone, here's the update as to what I've done so far. I've put my new fuel pressure regulator on here. It's a Deechworks. I've redone all of this, cleaned it up. I put a Y. Well, I mean, I had a Y here already, but I took the fuel filter away from here and made some new lines where I had kind of rigged up some other lines because I didn't have the right fittings. I had to put a tight fitting in here. I had a 90, but it was hitting the firewall, so I had to put a tighter fitting. So I've got both of those done. Coming up into a Y, I put the fuel filter under the car. I figured out my boost leak issue. Well, not boost leak, but why it wasn't making as much boost as I was thinking it should have been. If you look under my turbo down there, you'll see the paint's discolored. Yeah, that was an exhaust leak. The pipe had a crack in it. Previously, I was at a track and I hit my crossover pipe down there. I don't know if you can see it, but the crossover pipe that goes from one side to the other, I hit it on this side and it actually bent the turbo real bad. And I had to pull the turbo back up where it was supposed to be so it would fit back right again. But of course it cracked the exhaust down here where everything meets. And I had welded it up from the outside before. Well, it had cracked where I welded it. Not where I welded it, but next to the weld, the crack continued. So this time I actually pulled the turbo off and welded it on the inside. And shut all the lights off in the garage, put a light on the inside, looked everywhere on the outside, put a light on the outside, shined a light everywhere. Can't see any more light coming through, so I believe I've got that problem fixed. I'm sure you've heard in my videos, I've had a lot of turbo surge. I found out my blow-off valve was messed up, so I fixed that. My blow-off valve is fixed now. I took my wastegate apart and cleaned it just because, honestly, I thought the wastegate was the problem. It turns out it wasn't. I put it back on, it was still doing the same thing. And I figured out my transmission issue. So the transmission is back up in the car. I don't know if you can see it, it's very dark. But the transmission's back in the, well, back together. It's been in the car, but the transmission is back together. Turns out the issue was my gasket. When I put the valve body in originally, Freddie Brown sends you a gasket to use. Well, me not thinking, this is the older style. The valve body they send you is the older style 470W, the 95 to 2000. The transmission is a 2002. No, I'm sorry, 2001. So when I bought the gasket, not thinking, I bought a gasket for a 2001. So that was my issue. I had to replace all the gaskets. And on top of that, Freddie Brown pokes. Well, I don't want to say pokes. Freddie Brown machines the valve bodies. And they add passages and holes. So not only did I have the wrong gaskets, but I did not add those holes. So now I have added the holes and got the correct gaskets. And boom, it's working 100%. I took it out and drove it a couple of times today. It's working like it's supposed to. I got some new injectors. My old injectors were decapped injectors. Decapped flex fuel injectors out of an LS. These are thick 1000 cc fuel injectors, so much better than what I was using before. Probably still not as big as I really need, but I got a really good deal on them, so that's just what I'm going to stick with for now. And the tune is a lot more accurate now. My VE table was way off with the old fuel injectors. I don't know. They were supposed to be 80-pound fuel injectors, but apparently they were flowing a lot more than 80 pounds. Because with these injectors, my VE table was off by like 20%. It needed 20% more fuel. VE table calling for more fuel means the old injectors were flowing more fuel than what the computer thought it was. Anybody that tunes might be able to understand that, but now that I put these injectors in, I could have offset these injectors to make my VE table work, but instead I just added 20% to my entire VE table and took it out and drove it. I got into boost a little bit. I only went up to 11 pounds, but I was within a half to 1% across the whole table. So I'm pretty happy about that. I put a new oil pressure sensor on it because my old one started going wonky. It would read 0 and then it would read 70 and 0 and 70 and was going all over the place. My oil pressure hovers hot when the motor's hot, about 38 degrees at idle and 72 degrees or 72 pounds cruising. So I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, the car is back together faster than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I've redone some stuff. I'm going to get a 4-port Mac valve. This is what I'm using for my boost control right now. It's very temporary. I say it's permanently temporary. It's been on here for a while now. But I want to get a 4-port and go to the... Get down here to my wastegate. I don't know if you can see it, but I want to go to the... Right now, I'm just bleeding pressure going to my wastegate off, which is okay. I've got an 11-pound spring that and technically means I can make right around 22 pounds, which is more than enough, but I want to control it a little bit more accurately and hook up to the top side of the port and do a 4-port and make it so that the Holley can target a boost pressure. I'm sure a lot of you guys may have heard of Sloppy Mechanics. They have a whole article on how to do it. It's pretty cool. You reference your map and then you can just target X boost. I can target whatever. I have to target something above my spring, but I can target 15 pounds and it'll make 15 pounds, or I can target 18 pounds and it'll make 18 pounds. I don't have to do guesswork with a PWM. So I'm going to be doing that hopefully here soon. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've got some new clamps for all this stuff coming. I've got new downpipe clamp because, as you can see, you may not be able to see it, but it's moving. That clamp is worn out and doesn't pull it tight no more. You can probably hear it. So I've got a new one of these coming. I've got some new T-bolt clamps coming because, as you can see, I'm using a spiral clamp here. This is a spiral clamp. I'm using a couple of spiral clamps down here. And then I've got one more spiral clamp down there just because I've had this system apart so many times. The T-bolts strip over time. And running them on with an impact isn't a good idea either. So, yeah, there's a little update. Car's running fantastic. I cruised it for, I don't know, probably a total of 30 minutes earlier. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to redo my fuel table. I don't know if I'm ever going to put a flex fuel sensor on this car. I really want to, but I don't want to use the inputs and outputs. Yeah. So I think right now what I do is I have an offset table for 30%. And if I put regular gas in it, if I let it run low and I put 93 in it, I just turn that table off on my handheld. It's not 100% the right way to do it, but it gets me, it's pretty close. As long as it doesn't have too much fuel in it. And now if it's got a lot of E85 in it, and I try to put a little 93 to top it off, then that just throws everything way off. And no matter what I do without a flex fuel sensor, it's not right. So I think I'm going to take that offset off so that my fuel table is just a little bit more accurate. So I can actually see what the computer, or not what the computer, what the motor is wanting, instead of having a 30% offset across my entire fuel table. That does require changing everything related to fuel though, so that's a little annoying, so I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It would be changing a lot in my tune. But yeah, it's coming together. Maybe tomorrow I'll get a little drive clip on it, but that'll be a separate video. Take the wife and the daughter out for a little cruise at some point. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry, I should have, like I always say, should have got more video of me working on it, but the garage is a freaking disaster right now. I need to clean in here, and it's just frustrating. I don't have a toolbox. I need to get a toolbox. I've been working out of a bag, and you can only imagine how hard it is to keep tools organized when you're working out of a bag. So I do plan on getting a toolbox soon, but that's here nor there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the